Hi, welcome to Bonita's Kitchen and thank you for joining us. I'm excited to bring to you today a delicious stew called smoked rum porter stew. So just recently we've had a few of our viewers ask for either a Guinness stew, a Milligan stew. Of course we got a few stews on there that I will share with you today. But what we're going to do, we're going to make a stew out of our local beer, and it's called the smoked rum porter beer. So today we're going to call it our smoked rum porter stew. So if you're interested in this recipe today, I'll tell you more as we go. Let's get started.
Bonita's kitchen to yours. Bonita's kitchen to yours.
So I'm using a nice chunk of roast beef, and I'm going to, it's got a little bit of marbling on it, we want that. And what I did was partly frozen my meat because I wanted to cut it and not have too difficult. Sometimes when meat is fresh, it's a little bit difficult to cut, and put it in chunks like this, stew chunks, we'd say. I'm going to cut that up. Then I'm going to show you the ingredients we're going to use in this recipe today. And I'll leave the recipe in under this video of the amounts we're going to use. And we'll talk lots about this local brewery and what this beer is all about. So this stew today, like I was saying, we got lots of stews out there, but I wrote this one today especially to implement this delicious beer because I wanted to keep it local. But I do thank our viewers for requesting the Guinness and the Mulligan stew, but we'll stick with our smoked rum porter stew today. Now I'm going to tell you how much our ingredients we're going to be using and wash up. So now I'm not going to tell you the amounts, but I certainly will give you the ingredients and the amounts in under this video. We're going to be starting off our stew with some bacon, and that's about half a pack. We're going to be putting some bay leaves in there, brown sugar, just to kind of take the little edge off the porter beer and give it that nice sweetness. I was told it's an absolutely delicious beer. I can't say myself, but I will have a little taste of it now in a few minutes. This here is our thyme, fresh rosemary. You can substitute it with dried, absolutely. I got a chunk of butter. You could use margarine. We got some sea salt, pepper, fresh garlic. We got some tomatoes there, just those little baby ones. Flour, Worcestershire sauce. Of course, I may have said that wrong again. Celery.
Just say the W word. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I love celery in my stews and soups, but our youngest son, Stephen, says, Mom, celery's got no value. Leave it out, but I love it and it do have value. I got some onions here. I was going to use the pearl onions, but now I'm using the shallots. I'll get it out after a while, and I cut the shallots in half because I want to leave them chunky. You see over here we got little spuds. The big ones I'll cut in half, the little ones we'll leave like that. I want this soup to be just really nice and chunky and a nice thick stew. And this is our carrots. So now let's get started here. So what I'm going to do first is start off with a drizzle of olive oil. And I'm going to put a chunk of that butter in there and leave a little chunk for later in this show. And over here we'll season the steak or the chunks of meat with some salt and pepper. So I'm using sea salt and black pepper, but you could use white pepper, like the regular, I guess, salt, table salt, or the sea salt. I'm going to put in here some smoky bacon to start off our stew with. So yeah, liberally season that beef And then, like I said, we'll season it again as we go. I'm just going to give this a light frying air in the pan. And then I'm going to toss in with the bacon fat. I may take a little small amount of the bacon fat off, use it later in this episode, or we'll leave that to you if you want some extra. So now we're going to add in there those chunks of beef. And today, like I said, we're just using a cross rib roast cut into chunks. And you could use the beef that you like eating in your stew when you make it. I'm going to toss it all in there and get it browned off a little. So on a medium to high heat, we're going to brown off the meat on one side and turn it over to the other side just till it gives it a nice golden charring like that, and then continue doing it on the other side. And then we'll season it again with the rosemary and the thyme. But I want to give the thyme and the rosemary a little bit of chopping because it's fresh, and that will just bring out those flavors and aroma even more. Just kicking this off a little notch, eh, Raymond?
Oh, the smell that's just coming up this way now. Oh, yeah.
And having that bacon mixed in with it, that smoky bacon to just, yum.
That's coincidental. Smoky bacon, and you're making a smoke room porter.
Stew, yeah.
Stew.
I know, eh? Wicked.
Wicked is right.
So I'm just using a couple of stalks of each one of them, and pretty much all I'm doing is just giving it a nice chop. You can, well, what you could do first, I guess, is take it off the stem. You don't need, but I was just going to toss the stems in with it because it do have that flavor there, and I can take it out later. So just give it a light chopping like this to just bring out those flavors even more. Now I'm just going to toss all of that goodness in there, and that's the thyme and rosemary. We're going to put in a couple of bay leaves, and I add about 1 teaspoonful of the salt and pepper, so you can just put that in there to taste and add it in as you go or during, it doesn't matter. So we're just cooking this now for about 10 minutes. To let all those flavors go through before we add in the vegetables. Yum. So after about 10 or so minutes on each side, toss in your Worcestershire sauce and a couple of chunks of garlic. You can either use the minced garlic, or you can use fresh garlic and just squeeze it in there, or grate it. And let this cook for just a couple of seconds here because I don't want to burn the garlic. If I can get it out of my press, and just let that just feel the love in there in that pan. And then what I'm going to do now, before this gets too cooked, I'm going to take out the meat and we're going to start frying our vegetables. I'm going to pour in there about another tablespoonful of the bacon fat. What I did was drain off some, but I want still a little bit because we want that flavor. It's going to make this so good. So you could use either pearl onions, regular onions, or these shallots. I'll get it right, shallots, yes. And put it in there, start cooking. We got about the carrots here cut into nice chunks, and I'm going to put a nice handful of those baby potatoes, and I got some of them cut in half and some that's just left whole, and we'll let this fry into that delicious bacon fat and the drippings of the meat for just a little while. So now while we're waiting for our vegetables to start cooking a little, and of course scraping off all of those bits from the bottom of that pan, we need to do that. We'll talk a little bit about the smoke room porter beer. Of course, brewed here locally at the Bacaloo Brewing Company, Bacaloo Trail Brewing Company, excuse me. This beer, I was told, is named after the smoke room on the SS Kyle. And the SS Kyle was a ship that was built in 1913 and I guess ran aground in the winter, on a winter storm in
I think it was 1967.
1967, that's what we were told.
Yeah.
So we'll leave a little bit of that information with you. And apparently the smoke room on the Kyle was the gathering place. It was the place where people that went from one part of Newfoundland into Labrador, they gathered at the smoke room. And they chat and yarn and tell stories. And then this company, the Bacaloo Trail Brewing Company, they made a beer named after that. I'll tell you the notes that's in this beer, and I'm excited that we're going to be using it in our stew today, keeping it local, keeping it fresh.
And even went to Harbour Grease.
Oh yeah, because
the
it's
Kyle is still down there.
It's ran aground,
yeah.
and it's still there for viewing. Of course, it's a bit weathered, but it's definitely an historic boat and stories about it. So now let's get you back into this stew to show you how good it's looking. Just look at all of these delicious vegetables in there, and just cook them until they start to, I guess, caramelize just a little and start to get a little tender, because you're going to slow cook this after we get all of those layers put in, and of course that delicious beer that will cook down as well. So we'll just let that go for just another moment, and then I'll tell you what's next. We hope we're making you hungry out there today. To make this stew, oh my gosh, the smell in here is amazing. A smoke room porter stew. You're going to love it. 2 or 3 tablespoonfuls of flour. Toss over the vegetables and stir it through. We're going to cook off that flour just a little before we toss in there that smoke room porter beer. Yum. You take your fingers, mister, off that meat.
So tempting when you're about 2 feet away from
I know, right? Oh boy.
Yeah. Can't wait.
So up next, oh my, we are going to be pouring in about 280 mils of this delicious smoke room porter beer, and of course we got to have a little bit to sample. Such an amazing smell in there now, Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at this cooking in there, the nice brown color. I'm going to tell you the notes that's in this beer now very shortly, but we're going to pour in there about a cup right now of the vegetable or beef broth, and then we're going to toss back in there all of that delicious chunks of beef with the juice, and just mix it all through. Yum. This beer has got a full body dark chocolate and roasted character with caramel undertones, and I guess subtle herbal hop notes. Now that sounds absolutely delicious. Just listening to that, just knowing that it's chocolate, but just look at this dark brown look to this stew. Now what I'm going to do here now is cover this, and I'm going to tell you for how long, and as well what else we're going to put in there. Yum. Raymond can't wait to sample it.
I got the bowl ready.
I'm going to be tossing in there as well about a half a cup to a cup of tomato sauce. You could use a tomato paste as well. If you don't like adding tomato anything to your stew, you could leave it out. That's fine. And the last 10 minutes of cooking this, I'm going to be adding in there about 12 baby tomatoes. And I'm going to also toss in there 1 tablespoonful of brown sugar. And that will just bring this on together. So I'm going to slow cook this now in my skillet. You could do this on the stove top. You could do this in your oven, whichever is the most convenient for you. You can add in some more broth. You could put, you know, another cup or 2 of the vegetable broth or the beef broth, just to have it more dipping sauce. But I'm going to leave this there on a low for anywhere from 1 to 2 hours and let this simmer. Make the house just smell absolutely amazing. And then when I'm ready to serve it, I'm going to serve it with some of my Aunt Clara's dinner rolls. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. We're excited to have some of this and, of course, a little sip. Very tasty. I'm not a beer drinker, but I like the taste of it, so I know it's going to taste amazing in our stew. So let's get back to it when it's cooked. Oh my gosh, Raymond, just look. Yum, yum, yum. Now, about 5 to 10 minutes before you're ready to serve it, just look at this. I mean, this, just the texture of all of this goodness, and you can still see the vegetables nice and full. And we're going to be putting about 12 baby tomatoes over in the stew. If you don't like, again, the tomatoes, leave it out. We love it. We love that, you know, that nice pop in your mouth when you go to chew on it. And a couple of more pieces of that rosemary and the thyme, just to get that nice smell and aroma going through. Now I'm going to leave that there for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to serve some. Yum. Myself and Raymond can't wait. Not another minute. We are going to scoop out a taste of this delicious smoke room porter stew, and I can't wait for you to make it. And again, I know everybody out there don't have access to this smoke room porter beer, but you will find your favorite beer out there. And if you're local, we could direct you to where you can get this. So come in, have a look, and let's scoop up some. Now I know that stew is supposed to go into this big deep bowl, but I want for you to see. I want for you to see the texture of this stew. I want for you to almost smell it. I know we got a couple of viewers out there, Raymond, that they keep saying you have got to make that smell version on this computer.
I'm still working on the little sniff card that you can put in, and you could smell everything that's coming out of Bonita's kitchen. Just
look at the creaminess and the texture of this stew. Yum. I'm going to have a little taste now, Raymond. I know you are as well. I made a batch of my Aunt Clara's dinner rolls to have with these, just to dip in it. Raymond is saying in the background, hurry up, because I want to have some. You know, there is no way of eating this only getting right in there, dipping the bun in. I don't know. Raymond, I'm getting it all over myself. Oh my gosh. Drop the fork, delicious.
Too good to eat.
Oh my gosh, the texture of that gravy in there. And you can, of course, dip your bun in there. The taste of that, well, I can taste that nice smokiness of it. It's very flavorful. You know what? I'm going to leave you this recipe. I can't wait for you to make it. And we're going to thank the local brewery, for letting us use their beer for our stew today. We're excited to share it with you. 2 thumbs up. And Raymond, I know, you're over there just drooling.
Yeah.
This meat
and
is
this
so...
is one time I don't think that I'm going to drop the fork or the spoon. Delicious. I think it's...
So, the meat is texture, the bacon flavour. Drop the fork twice. Delicious. Yum. I like to scoop up a bowl for each one of you out there today. But I know, coming at this time of the year, everybody's looking for soups and stews. And I can guarantee you, you're going to love this one. The recipe will be posted below. You can double it up, triple it up, cook it in the oven, in a skillet, on the stovetop. It's up to you. And as well, we're not going to take any more of your time, but we'll share a couple of more links. Our website, www.bonitaskitchen.com, and our Facebook page. You can send me an email at bonitakitchen@gmail.com. Visit us here on YouTube, and as well, just check out all of our recipes and leave us a message and telling us what you think. Yum. So once again, try our smoke room porter stew. On behalf of myself, Raymond, and our team here at Bonita's Kitchen, and from our kitchen to yours, thank you for joining us, and you have a wonderful day. Oh my gosh, Raymond, you're gonna love this.
I got the bowl ready. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah. Visiting Newfoundland and Labrador, don't forget to check out the Bacaloo Trail Brewery on your travels.
Join us by the sea, a journey in culinary, always an open door. Bonita's Kitchen to yours. Bonita's Kitchen.